Hello everyone, welcome to Programmers Hub YouTube channel. This is our first tutorial where I'll be taking you guys HTML and CSS, and this course is mainly for um, beginners. Today we'll be talking about how to create a project. If you want to develop a website, the first thing you need to do is to create your project. And how do you do that? The first thing you need to create a folder for your project. I can create the folder anywhere. It can be my document, it can be anywhere. But today, let me just create it on our desktop page. So for me to create the folder, just click on right click. And from here, we'll have new, go to new. And from here, we'll have folder, click on this folder. Then we can name our project, depends on the name of our project. It can be a website for anything. Then I can decide to name it tutorial. So let's assume I'm developing a website for our tutorial. Then the name of my folder can be tutorial. It can be anything. So once I create this folder, the next thing I need to do is to open my editor. I will be using Visual Studio Code for my web development. So I will click to open my editor. So this is my editor has opened. So once we have our editor open, the next thing we need to do is to open that folder from our Visual Studio Code. Then for me to do that, I click on File, click on Open Folder, then locate where the folder I created is, which is under desktop, which is on desktop. And I'll quickly go to my desktop. So for my desktop, I have the folder here, and I can click on it, then click on select folder. Then it will open the project for me, the folder for me. Now, how do you know that the folder has been opened? Here under Explorer, you will see the name of the folder here, which shows that you are already on the folder. Then all your files, all your other folders will be inside it. Now, Visual Studio has actually made it easy for you to create a file, for you to create a folder, and all other editors too. They have actually made it easy, so you don't have to be you don't have to go to your folder from the desktop and start creating files and folders. So from here, you can do that. You can create files, you can create folders. Now, when you are developing a website, a HTML CSS website, you need to have separate folders, for all the files you would need for a website. If you'll be using CSS, you need to have a separate file for all your CSS file. If you will be needing JS, JavaScript, you need to have you need to have folders for your JavaScript file. Then all other files like image, sound, audios, and all that, we also need to have a folder for them. Now the question is, why do we need a folder for all these files? Because we need to make our code to be clean. You can imagine when you have all HTML file, CSS file, JavaScript file, all in one folder. It will not be easy for you. It will not be easy to locate your file. And in case you want to make reference in your code to any file, probably you want to use image in your file, in your HTML file, it might not be easy for you to do that. So that is why it is necessary to make your code to make your project folder to be clean. Then how do you do that? Now once you open the folder just like the way I did. Now you can create a folder, you can create a file in many ways. We can create a file from here. Once I click on this file, you see new file. Then we can create a file from here, but we are not going to be doing that. Then we can also create a files and folder from here. These three icons, they allow you to create, as you can see, new file. Here we have a new folder. Then just in case you want to refresh, there might be an instance whereby you create a file and you could not see it. See, the only thing you can do is just you can just refresh that explorer, then you will see your file if truly you created the file or folder. Then you can also collapse folders in explorer. So those are things, they are all these four buttons do. Now if I don't want to do that, to make life easy for us, you can actually right click on this particular space. Once you right click on this particular space, now this space is this is an area all where you see all your files and folder. So now for me to create a folder for, let me say I want to create it like I explained before, that we need to have a folder for our CSS, JavaScript, and then images and all other files. Then let me start by creating a folder for our CSS. Once I right click like what I did here, once I right click, you see new file, new folder. Then I can then click on new folder. So now once I create the new folder, you already see the icon for the folder. Then it will now request for the name of the folder. Here I can just put in CSS. Then I press enter. Automatically I've created the CSS folder. Then I can also create another folder by clicking new folder, then provide the name. I can name it JavaScript, I can name it JS, but the normal convention, what people normally use, they use JS. Then I can also create a new folder for my image, just in case I want to use image in my project. Then I have this. So these are the major three folders that you will need in your application. As your project starts, as your project continue to be more complex, as you start, maybe you want to use library and all that, there might be a need for you to have a folder, to handle, to take in all those files. So for now, these are the basic folders that we need. So now, if I want to create a file, now there's something you also need to know is what we call hierarchy. Most of people, they find it difficult to understand what hierarchy means, especially when they want to reference a particular file or folder, when they are writing their HTML code or their CSS code or their JavaScript code. So referencing, may be kind of difficult if you don't understand what hierarchy means. Now you remember we created a folder on the desktop. Let's take that one as our main folder, and all other folder that is inside the main folder is of another hierarchy, so which is a subfolder. So the tutorial folder is the hierarchy one. Then all this one, if you can see, if you notice, they are on the same line, which means they have the same hierarchy, which we can call hierarchy 2. So now let's assume I create a new file inside this CSS. Once I click on new file and I name it style.css, so this file I just created is hierarchy 3. So now which means if I also create a file inside this one, it will still be the file I created, or the file I create inside my JS file will still be hierarchy 3. So I want you to understand that fact. Once you understand, it will be easy for you to reference any file when you're writing your code. So now let's create our first HTML file. Now to create our first HTML file, there's one thing that you need to know is what we call extension. If you are creating a CSS file, a CSS file has its own extension, which means any name you give your CSS file, just like what I did here, I name it style.css. So this .css is our extension to let our browser to know that this file is a CSS file. Then if I'm creating, just like we have image, we have .jpeg, we have .jpeg, we have .png, .gif, those are extensions just to identify that this is the file type. Then we also have similar, if I want to create an HTML file, all I just need to do is right click on this new file, this space, then click on new file, then for me to provide my name. I can name it, let me name it index.html. So .html is the extension of HTML file. So if you want to create HTML file, any name you give it the file, you have to add .html so that your browser will know that this file is HTML file. So now, if you are conversant in, if probably you have seen a project, you have seen a particular website before, I believe you would have seen this index.html, or you see index.php. Now, index in web project means that any file you create, any HTML file or PHP file or any file you name index, this is the file, is the first file that the server is going to load to your user, which means index file is normally used as an home page, which means it's the file that will first load to your user when they visit your website or they open your project. So you need to take note of that. So this index file is very compulsory. Is the home page, is the first file that will be loaded for your user when they visit your website, or maybe when you finally upload it to hosting. So now we've created our index file. The next thing you need to know is creating HTML structure, writing your first HTML code. We will be doing that in our next video. Thank you for your time.